Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Train Simulator Classic, aka Railworks. Today we're going to be taking a look at the DTM GE 44-ton switcher. This is an oldie, so I'm going to try to be nice, but the pack has a stark issue that is kind of hard to be fair to it, but I'm not talking about the smoke. The smoke actually looks absolutely awful, but yeah, before we dive too far into it, a little on the history. These locomotives were designed by GE in the 40s, the early, matter of fact, I think these started production 1940 on the dot, but it was built into the mid to late 50s, I believe, and was kind of GE's answer to a light industrial kind of general purpose switcher. Railroads were looking at diesel locomotives to swap out all of their tea kettles with, and this was GE's answer to the small, lightweight industrial switcher. So these locomotives have seen use around the world in a few places, and a massive number of them still exist. These were workhorses then, they're still workhorses now. Most were built with Caterpillar diesel engines. Some were built with some other oddballs like some Hercules diesels, but most were built with twin cats, and you can still see a fair number of them in operation, both active service or with heritage lines. Still very much a popular locomotive. Now onto the train simulator. The train simulator models. There are a few missing. For those of you that know about these locomotives, there are a couple missing. Why? Because that stark issue I noted earlier, these are all individual packs. This is not one pack with multiple paint schemes in it. This is one pack, two pack, three pack, freeware. And it's stupid. There's no reason whatsoever that these should all be individual packs. There's a couple others, I believe, the Baltimore and Ohio. There's a B&O model, and there's a what was it? Boston and Maine, I believe. There's a B&O and a Boston and Maine pack as well. They are $8 each. Yeah, it's stupid. There's no reason that they need to be individual packs, because there's nothing different. There's really odd little details, like the vents over the windows on the Penzi model, but other than that, there's really nothing at all to separate these locomotives from each other outside of the paint scheme. So that's an issue that's really hard to get past with these. On one hand, you can kind of pick which one you want and roll with it, but on the other hand, if you want to use reskins, a ton of the reskins run into that same issue. Somebody might own the UP model, somebody might own the SP model, somebody might own the Penzi or one of the others, and so they'll do a reskin on that model, and if you don't have that model, you can't use that reskin, which is a load of garbage. The cabs are identical, the basic details are identical, sounds are identical. There's There's no reason to have them all separate. Now you can pick them up during a Steam sale. You can generally pick them up for like $4 each, which I guess at that point, if you buy them all, you still end up spending 20 bucks, and there you go. There's your $20 pack of GE 44 tonners. They do not come with any rolling stock. They don't come with a non-driver variant. They only come with this one. You buy the Pennsylvania pack, this is all you're getting in it. Just this right here. Which on sale, like I said, if you buy them all on sale, you go through, buy them all on sale, then you end up with like 4 or 5 different schemes. Okay, maybe, but even that's kind of a stretch now, considering these were released in 2012, so they're over 10 years old now, and they haven't aged that well. The basic model doesn't look half bad, but the exhaust is awful, the sounds are yeah, the physics are, again, but starting off, we have the Southern Pacific model, since we are on the Shasta line, for giggles and squiggles. And for some wonky reason, my frames are not half as bad without these around. Multiple of these take a real toll on your frames. I imagine it has something to do with this awful smoke, but yeah, they don't, my computer does not like them. But it's a 20-foot paint job, that's for sure. You zoom in, it's very noticeably blurry, a lot of 2D texturing. It's very much a basic model with a lot of 2D texturing applied over it. Oh, all of a sudden, my frames exist. Weird. But it's not bad. Honest to God, this thing looks better than some of the stuff that we've seen pushed out by DTM in recent years, which is kind of sad, considering you would expect somebody to improve over 10 years, but different opinion, different time, different conversation. But either way, these don't look half bad once you get past this. This is so hard to get past. It's so hideously bad. Very noticeable little cotton balls. It looks awful. I mean, yeah, sure, you maybe got this black smoke and whoa, crank up the throttle real quick, but even then it should idle out. That's just ugh. But you know, lettering's a little blurry. Number looks pretty crispy, but lettering's a little blurry. And where the 3D texture, or where the 3D objects are, sticks out like a sore thumb. So it's painfully obvious that these are 2D textured doors and panels, while the handles are 3D objects, and it very much looks it. This mesh looks awful. But, you know, overall, it's not bad looking. Now, like I said, oops, wrong button. Like I said, these are all the exact same locomotive. There's really no massive differences. The UP and the SP, I believe, are identical models, just reskinned. I don't think that there's any real... there's nothing. There's no difference. The Pennsylvania Railroad model does have a couple differences, not enough to go, oh my god, a different pack, but enough to go that they're noticeable. I don't know what in the hell is going on with the door here, but that looks horrible and very noticeable. Same with the door. But you do have these little shades over the windows on the Penzi model, as well as marker lights. And that's where the differences stop. Again, same horn, same sound, same cab, same identical model outside of those details there. And of course the UP. The lettering looks awful. It looks good from right about there. Penzi's blurry up close, but Penzi you can get a little closer. UP, not so much. And then there's some reskins. Of course, the Railworks America's own route, the RWNA. There's a reskin for it. Obviously, I believe this one requires the Pennsylvania model, since it does have the, yeah, it's got the vents over the windows and the marker lights. But there's also, for another excellent freeware route, the Columbia Valley Pacific. There are reskins for that route as well. I believe using either the UP or SP model. I don't remember. Now, like I said, that's one of the biggest frustrations. It's really hard to remember what base model you gotta have for the freeware stuff, because some of the freeware stuff is really, really nice, honestly. Some of the freeware reskins are really good. It's hard to tell, because like I said earlier, these are the exact same model, but for some dumb reason I cannot use the GOPDX from the Southern Pacific model on the Columbia Valley model if the Columbia Valley model is built on the Union Pacific model. It has to use the Union Pacific GOP. It's stupid. Because like I said, they're identical. There's absolutely nothing different. Your cab view is going to be different because of the colors. That's it. But, anywho, I digress. Inside, woof. I haven't used these in a minute, and it is not aged well at all. Inside, we got a bunch of blurry textures. This didn't look half bad for 2012 standards, but you stick this up against anything made today, yeah, like anything from Machine Rail, anything from Repo, it really doesn't hold up at all. Not to bash on it too much, but it's just one that hasn't aged well. It did have some novel features though for 2012. You can open the doors, you can open the windows. The vast majority of the bells, buttons, and whistles are toggleable. So it did have that going for it, but there are some things like these look bad. Even from back here, these look bad, but you know, you got your bell, you got our wipers, sanders. No sound. No sound occlusion. But you can't open the doors, you can't open the windows, and I believe it translates outside. Yeah. So that was a pretty novel feature back in 2012. Now it's pretty standard, but oof, the texturing is bad. The texturing is very dated. Oh, we got throttle, reverse, train brake, locomotive brake, cab heater, which doesn't really do anything. Turns on the cab heater. For when it's cold outside. And it's cool that you can toggle it, but it doesn't do anything. Rear, front headlights. Of course, our engine start, stop. Cab light. Nothing too terribly special. Very bright center light right there. What else we got? Gauge lights. Gauge lights actually don't look half bad. It's got just the little glow around the edge here, which is pretty typical of this time period. And then front and bright on the rear. So headlights, at least they ain't got that awful flare that most modern things do. They actually don't look too terrible outside of the fact that they're very white. These are built in the 40s. The lights are typically not so white in the 40s. They're very much orange. Very orange, yellow. Not white. Color's wrong. The light overall, though, doesn't look half bad. Let's turn off our brights. No real different. So, that should be our handbrake. Door. Again, no sound occlusion. And our horn. It's got a pretty noticeable loop. You kind of hear the woo 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 woo. But it is an entertaining horn, to say the least. It is entertaining. Hallelujah! The bell is different. It's not the same damn GE bell that DTM adores using. GE, EMD, one of those two. It's an actual different bell sound. It's not half bad. You know those little squeeze horns that you get at Walmart for your bicycle? That is absolutely what that sounds like. Put it in gear, kill the brakes, kill the brakes. Check our tracks. Now, credit where it's due. These things do have that, you know, diesel chug to them. Sounds pretty much like a truck or something. Got a really weird wind up and wind down. You hear that bow, bow, bow. It's weird. Not blended the best. I can't get past that. God, that is ugly. Sounds, nothing special there, just, you know, the sound of air whooshing in and out. Sound itself isn't bad. Sound itself ain't bad. Physics aren't terrible. It is a little harder to gauge smaller locomotives, because these are going to perform a little more. They're going to perform very different from, you know, your big U50s out there or the SD45s. They're not going to take as much time to wind up. They're not going to take as much time to stop. Of course, I don't have a train behind them, but even with a train behind them, you're not pulling a lot. Typically, you wouldn't see one of these pulling 6-7 cars max. They're not powerhouses by any means necessary, but so it is a little harder to gauge the physics. It is pretty instantaneous. You open the throttle, it immediately starts moving. You touch the brakes, it immediately starts stopping, but it's not the immediate stop, like 0 to 60 and 60 to 0 kind of deal. So that's not half bad. I forget what these top off. I think these top off at like 40-ish miles an hour, somewhere around that area. But they don't have a speedometer, so I don't entirely know. Let's see. Does the Penzi model have one? Sometimes there's things that are different. Nope. Penzi model does not. Like I said, same cab. Same sounds. Same sounds. Haha, no sounds. But, back to the SP model. Yeah, I mean, they're not bad. Definitely buy them on sale if you're looking at them and don't already have them. I imagine it's pretty rare to find somebody that doesn't already have these at this point. These have been around for forever. And I believe there's one included with the New Haven line. The Springfield New Haven. So it's... I wouldn't say go out and buy them all in individual packs. I would definitely say pick which one you think you're going to use the most. Or if you're looking at a particular reskin, get it for the reskin. But other than that, it's really hard to recommend these because of that whole $8 a model for reskins, essentially. Buying one model and then get a bunch of reskins for $8 each. Some might say it's phenomenal. Others, like me, I don't see the point. I don't see any reason for these to be all individual, but I've harped enough on that. Overall, the model's not bad. It needs a facelift, for sure. It absolutely needs a facelift. The exhaust needs to go away. The exhaust needs something better because it's awful. The sounds could use absolute touch-up. They're not the worst sounds. The engine sounds themselves are not half bad. The horn, I don't know one that sounds like that. It might. It's definitely an odd choice, but whatever. It's got all the wonky bells and whistles to it, though. You know, like I said, it's nothing fancy. There's not a whole lot going on with it. Just, it's in bad need of a texture update. And truth be told, it could stand to have better 3D modeling, better items, these door panels and whatnot. Whenever that's like half your locomotive is a bunch of door panels, probably ought to take the time to actually model them instead of 2D texture. Like I said, 2012, these weren't half bad, but 2023, 11 years later, it's aged. They immediately shut off. Wow. That is an immediate... Oh, okay. Well, we still have exhaust, though. No engine's running, but we still have exhaust. But, wow. Never heard a diesel engine die that quick. That was awful. Oh, that was awful. What was that? Okay. So there is no startup shutdown. It's just sound on, sound off. That's your difference. It's awful. Oh goodness. Yeah, these need a facelift. But anywho, you can get them on the Steam store. They are under DTM. Look them up. I 100% bought these for the nostalgia purposes because I got them when they first came out years ago, and I loved them back then. Now I barely ever use them. Like I said, they're dated and they show. So it's you're not necessarily missing out if you don't have them, I would say. But they are kind of fun to use as AI. They are pretty decent little additions if you're a big switcher guy or you like to fiddle around in industrial settings. These are definitely one you might want to look at. But they're pretty neat, pretty different. Again, go check them out. They're on the Steam store. I don't like that they're separate packs, but whatever. That's just my thoughts. But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.